These are golden calf fake heroes, and the leftists love them. Cuomo's lecturing America on masks, couldn't even obey basic quarantine rules. So, Chris Cuomo from CNN, I have the story in the show notes today. Red State covered it. Tim Murtaugh, who is one of the communications directors, as a matter of fact, he's on right now as I'm watching Fox. But this guy's really becoming one of my favorites. And if I had like a bullpen of Mariano Rivera, like rock star relief pitchers out of the pen, Tim Murtaugh is becoming that guy. He's a little more understated than I am. I'm kind of, you know me, I'm like throwing flame 24 hours a day. But Murtaugh just wrecks these people. So he goes on CNN. Again, he's a Trump campaign communications guy. He goes on with the hapless Chris Cuomo. And Chris Cuomo, who loves to tell America and proselytize and preach about masks and coronavirus, coronavirus mitigation is important. If I get coronavirus, especially in the coming weeks, it could be very serious for me. It's a serious thing. It's not a joke. But what I do find comical in this is Chris Cuomo lecturing America about any kind of mistake someone makes in their coronavirus mitigation measures, while Cuomo himself was accused after he had coronavirus of breaking quarantine and is on the record now with his apartment building sanctioning him for not wearing a mask in his own apartment building, while he's using his CNN show to tell you what an idiot you are for not wearing a mask. So Tim Murtaugh goes on his show, calls about this. Remember when Chris Cuomo on CNN, he pretended he was in his basement for quarantine and CNN covered him coming out of his basement? It was like, out of the basement. It was like such a big dramatic thing. Remember that? Yeah, there's a picture. Look at that. How did you do that? Very good. Paula has a picture. Here he is emerging from the basement. Well, Tim Murtaugh does a great job calling him on his hypocrisy because he'd already left the basement. Check this out. This is great.
Okay. I'm about a president sending the right message and giving states what they need to fight a pandemic.
Apartment building.
Because I did the wrong thing.
Why did you get reprimanded by your own apartment building for failing to wear a mask after having been told before?
Why won't the president adjust his messaging?
You broke quarantine and went to the
Hamptons. I never broke quarantine.
Everyone knows you broke.
I never broke quarantine.
You deny that happened.
Absolutely, 100%.
And then you came home and you pretended to rise up from your basement like Lazarus.
Like Lazarus. There he is. A Lazarus-like rising from the basement. Ladies and gentlemen, he'd already been out of his basement. He was like, you can check out the story in the New York Post and elsewhere, where Cuomo, while still under quarantine, broke the rules, according to this report, left his basement and was confronted by a biker who saw him, was like, hey, aren't you under quarantine? You're not supposed to engage in any unnecessary travel. But CNN had to film it, because they employ Brian Stelter. Like, that's what they do, fake news. And you know what I thought of? I could have, these WWF, WWE things I do. I just remember back in the day, like, he comes out of his basement like Lazarus. I wish I could take this. I have like a little IFB. He goes actually emerging like, he was, and he's sitting on, I'm done. I have defeated he was out a week before, hanging out on the beach. This is a serious thing. It's not a joke. No one's making fun of the illness. But you're going to sit here and lecture everyone about your coronavirus expertise and mitigation measures when you ignored them yourself and pretended to triumphantly emerge from the basement. You know what it made me think of? Remember the Hulkamaniacs? Remember Hulk Hogan? He'd be there. They'd have him in the sleeper hold and he'd be falling asleep and everybody'd be like, but Hulk was like the big hero. Hulk Hogan was the hero. Remember this, Paul? Did you ever see this? And halfway through the sleeper hold, Joe, I know you're listening. I know you remember this. Remember halfway through the Hulkamania and the crowd would start, get up, Hulk, get up, Hulk. And Hulk would be like, remember that? And and all of a sudden he'd start going and he'd tool the guy and drop the big. That's Chris Cuomo emerging from the basement. He's in the sleeper hole. And CNN's cheering him on. And he emerges like, he should have ripped his shirt off and had like a big S on his chest or something like that. This dude's a clown. These people are total clowns. They're just making this up. These are golden calf fake heroes, and the leftists love them. Cuomo's lecturing America on masks, couldn't even obey basic quarantine rules.
You just heard Dan Bongino.